You know, Bollywood produces over 700 films every year. This is Robert Manni, host of Guys TV, and this week my very special guest is Bollywood legendary actress Padmini Kolhapure. It all starts right here, right now on Guys TV. You can also catch me on KCAA Radio in Southern California and Guys Radio, my worldwide podcast. Guys TV, Guys Radio, thanks for your support. Okay, Guys Radio. Today we're going to talk about a few things. One is Bollywood, the wonderful Hindi film industry that is kind of a mirror of Hollywood, but in some ways the same and other ways very different, but fascinating nevertheless. I've got a Bollywood legendary star, Padmini Kolhapure. Her career spans decades as she began her acting career at the young age of 7. She was catapulted to fame with the mega hit blockbuster PREM ROG, when she was discovered by iconic director Raj Kapoor, who she continued to make films with, also with V Shantaram, Chopra, Rajkumar Santoshi, and many other stalwarts of the Bollywood film industry. At the age of 15, she won the Filmfare Award for Best Supporting Actress for her performance in the revenge drama Insaf Ka Tarazu in 1980, and at the age of 17, she won Filmfare Award, and we'll get into this, but Filmfare is similar to our Oscars, if you will, or Academy Awards. She won Best Actress for the tragic romance Prem Raj, and thus becoming the second youngest actress to win the awards in respective categories. And I want to tell you more about her because I really want to introduce Bollywood to our audience, because I think it's important. It's great storytelling, great filmmaking. Padmini was also nominated for the Filmfare Award for Best Supporting Actress for her role in Suten in 1983, and also received another Filmfare Award for Best Actress nomination for PYAAR JHUKTA NAHIN in 1984.
Well done.
I'm almost through. It's Padmini's here. She's the niece of the legendary singers Lata, Mangeshkar, and Asha. And while working for the film Aisa Pyar Kahan, Padmini met Pradeep Sharma, alias Tutu Sharma, who was the producer of the film. They were married after a brief courtship in 1986. They have a son named Priyank Sharma. She went on to star in another hugely successful films such as Satyam Shivam Sundaram, WOH SAAT DIN, PREM ROG, Nahin, and recently PHATA Poster Nikla Hero, and the web series DIL Bekaaraar with popular director Habib Faisal. She continues to win audiences with hearts around the world with her natural flair on screen, and she's received numerous rewards and Filmfare Awards for her remarkable acting. The beautiful actress, and as you can see, she's gorgeous, is a renowned and gifted singer, and in fact comes from the musical family of national importance in India. So I want to take a moment here and take a breath there. There's a lot of things to pronounce and say thank you so much to my friend Jesse Kelsey, the astronumerologist, as well as my very special guest, Padmini Kolhapure. Welcome to Guys Radio.
Whoa, thank you so much. Wow, you must be relieved, aren't you?
Oh my goodness, I don't know if I got those right, but anyway, I was telling
almost there, but well done, Robert. I'm very impressed. Very impressed.
Well, let's start right at the beginning. You come from a musical family. How and why did you follow the path towards music and then getting into acting?
Well, music actually somehow in our DNA, because my father was a singer. My grandfather was a, Rudra Veena player. I don't know if you know. We have a goddess called Saraswati, who epitomizes education and art and, things like that. So goddess Saraswati has this instrument called the Veena, the Rudra Veena. It's a very difficult instrument, which my grandfather used to play, and it's almost getting redundant. So my father, he was a singer, and so we have actually music in our family. I'm related to, like you said, Lata Mangeshkar and Asha Bhosle. So it's in our DNA. Music is in our DNA. And I started singing at a very young age. Started meaning it just came sort of naturally. It's not like we were just thrown in. I keep saying we is me and my sister Shivangi. So we started giving playback to songs in movies, in chorus, solos. So we would sing. We were like the background singers with Asha Bhosle and Lata Mangeshkar, and I sang many songs back then. My grandfather, being a Rudraveena player, a musician, he also owned a theater company. He was an actor on stage. So again, that's where acting came from. So my grandmother, you see, what happened is then the theater kind of again diminished, and then movies came on the scene. So my grandmother was extremely keen that I got some part in a movie. So she was constantly, praying, and you know how, like in India, we pray to the gods, and we kind of, So she would constantly pray and say that, I wish Padmini gets a part in a movie. And I was very fond of dancing as well. So these days I keep seeing there's so many reality shows. The kids today, they have great platforms to showcase their talents, whether they're dancers or singers, because I go on many of these reality shows as a celebrity guest or a judge. And I just wonder, like, wow, what a phenomenon these kids are today. So back then we didn't have these opportunities, just some program and we would just go on stage and dance. And that's what I did. So my grandmother, sort of every time my aunt Asha Bhosle came home, she would say, try and get her a part, try, because she was obviously connected. She was a singer, so she would meet all the all the directors and producers. So one fine day, I was singing in chorus with Asha Bhosle, and the legendary director and actor Devanand. I mean, he was a star and a phenomena in those days. I was a great fan of his too as an actor. She introduced me to him and said that, why don't you, give her a part in one of your movies? And he said, why one of my movies? I'll cast her right now in this one. And that's how I bagged my first
Wow.
film.
That's like a story that every actor, every of the 99% of unemployed actors in America would love to hear that, because you got you right in there. But obviously you were very comfortable, even at the age of 7, performing in front of people. Were you always did you always have this confidence, or because that not everybody feels comfortable in front of big crowds like that. Was that something that you noticed about yourself? Like, this is not a problem for me. It's coming from inside, from my soul, from my spirit.
Absolutely, you're absolutely right on that. It did come naturally. But I think what it is with kids, because I watch these shows and all, I think children are like, they're like sponge. They just kind of absorb, and they're so natural, and you let them go and let them do what they want. They're kind of open to learning and doing what is sort of expected from them. So that's what happened with me. I had a great director, Devanand, who gave me all the freedom, not being strict with me, because what happens is strictness is one thing that kind of takes the child back, you see.
Mm-hmm.
So he was absolutely fine with me. I was very comfortable. And my first experience was just brilliant. And that kind of, took me ahead.
Let's talk about Bollywood, because I think for a lot of Americans, they know the term and they think, oh, it's an Indian version of Hollywood. But there's the Hindi aspect of it. There's a lot of differences for an American. How would you describe Bollywood, and what are the main differences that you see between Hollywood and Bollywood?
The thing is, Bollywood, again, after Hollywood, it's called Bollywood. Then we have the South cinema, the Bengali cinema. So there, after Bollywood, they called it Tollywood and Mollywood, and all of those. So that was pretty cute. But Indian cinema, I mean, for instance, of course, Hollywood is just English speaking movies, right? Indian cinema is Hindi movies, Bengali movies, South Indian is huge. Right today, if you see, like, South Indian movies are doing phenomenally well. Like, they're like the when you see the box office collection of these South movies, it's like really amazing, the kind of box office hits these Hollywood, I mean, the South films are doing. So it's when you see Indian cinema, there are over, I think, 700 films per year being made. There's Marathi cinema, and you watched Pravas, you said. So that was,
Yes.
I was really taken aback. Wow. For you to watch Pravas, it's a Marathi, it's a regional film. That's my mother tongue. So there's so many Gujarati cinema, Rajasthani cinema, it's huge. The culture is so much. It's too deep. Sort of the more you kind of project, India through its movies, the less it is.
Why do you think that the film industry has grown and so exponentially in India? Of all places, it seems like, I know there's a lot of folks in a lot of people in India, but it seems like the film industry is bigger there relative to any other country in the world, even the United States. There's more films, there's more people, but there's more films, there's more segments of different films. I mean, here it's kind of, you have the big tentpole films, and then you have some independent films, and then you have all the streaming and the TV shows. But, Bollywood is huge. Why do you think that is, that it really strikes such a nerve in the Indian culture, which is so vast and segmented also?
Because like I said, India is so vast, so huge. It has, all these dimensions to it. Cultural background is so much that it definitely influences. See, movies influence real life, and real life influences real life. So that impacts the audiences a lot abroad. Like, I have a lot of people, like, I'm here in LA, and there are many people, many foreigners, who've never been to India. They've heard of India, they know of India,
Right.
they know about the culture, but somewhere they are hesitant, because what happens is a lot of films that are made outside of India kind of project Bollywood, I mean India, sorry, not Bollywood, India, in a bit of a negative sense, in a bit of a negative way. Like, the negative stuff is more portrayed on screen. So there's a bit of a fear among people living abroad that, India is not a clean place, and all sorts of things happen, and this, that. Yes, it's everywhere. I mean, there are a lot of other countries also, and we're coping with, because we are the largest population.
Right.
We are trying to cope with everything today. I mean, now, obviously India is a much cleaner place today, much better place to live in. There are a lot of people wanting to, as a matter of fact, yesterday I met this young girl who's coming to India to pursue her career as an actor. Although she's working here, she has a production house in LA, but I think that charm for Bollywood is, I can't explain.
Mm-hmm. Well, the storytelling, the constructs. I watched your recent movie Pravas, which was terrific. And as we were talking before we got on air, that it was longer than I expected, and the story constructs were different than American storytelling. Yet my understanding is from my wife is that no, there is a template as there is in the U.S. So for film here or storytelling, it's usually, what does the main character want? Why can't he or she get it? And then 3 acts, and then a series of escalating obstacles till you reach a climatic scene at the end. Whereas in the Bollywood filmmaking, I was ready, okay, that's the 3rd act. And then it was like, oh, here's some new characters. And now we're up in the snow. And there was a whole thing, but it all rounded out to this wonderful story. Pravas is the name of the movie. And my special guest is Padmini Kolhapure. Where it's really about life. The themes were so much broader than in a lot of American storytelling, where there's the story, but then the themes are overarching about life itself, family, relationships. And I know we have that in our films here also, but it just seemed to me it was communicated and the template was different. Could you help me out with that, Padmini?
So, speaking about Pravas and all the other Indian movies, see, we have this set formula. I wouldn't like to say that, but we have the set formula. There is a lot of, family, a story woven around families, the values, their life. And there's a lot of, I would say, melodrama in Indian cinema, because it kind of somehow it impacts the audience in a lot of way, because we expect Indians to relate to a film, relate to a character. They want to go, like there's a very uh, how do you say, the strata of the elite is very minimal. So we have a lot of hardworking people who want to kind of break away from their daily routine, go watch a nice, it's called masala actually in Bollywood, masala movies, like where there's singing and dancing
Right.
and there's fighting and there's all kinds of things in this packed in this movie. So they want to watch these films and then come out feeling good. They don't want to see sad, morose films, a real life story. I mean, there are a lot of great films being made on that front. But when it comes to, how do you say, the viewers, the actual film goers, in the interiors of India, and because the metros are very sort of limited these days. A lot of the cinemas are not really doing very well, thanks to COVID, of course, the pandemic. But now it's kind of opening up, and there are a lot of people going to the theaters. But like I said, Bollywood is a masala. Like it's a, how do you say? Like you have mix, a masala mix, everything. Like you have to have your songs,
Hmm.
which you probably finding the films lengthy because there are 5 songs, 6 songs, and then there's so much drama woven around each character. Then, like you said, another character enters, and then after the interval, so this that's the set formula actually of Indian cinema. You just make a 2-hour film,
Have
and if
you
there are no songs, then there's no entertainment.
Mhm. Have you, and in the industry, have they ever taken like, okay, here's an American screenplay, and you look at it and say, okay, let's do our Bollywood version of this, and vice versa. Have you seen the Bollywood template flipped into the American template and shot as an American movie, and vice versa?
Not literally, I haven't seen that, but like there was Slumdog Millionaire where they used A.R. Rahman's music,
Hmm.
and that again, that song became a phenomenon, back
Right.
then. But I did a film called Insaf Ka Tarazu, and it was inspired by a film called Lipstick from
Hmm.
here.
Yes, with
And it
Mariel
was a
Hemingway,
very,
right?
yes, Hemingway, absolutely. So I played one of the sisters, and it was pretty much an impactful film back then. It was a very bold film to be made in that time, much ahead of its time. But yeah, a lot of films are being recreated from Hollywood. We are taking sort of the stories from here, and they are kind of recreating it. Right recently, I don't know if you've heard of Amir Khan.
Yeah.
Yeah, he made a film inspired by, well, I think he took the rights of Forrest Gump, and he made this film called Lal Singh Chadda. And I really liked the film. I really liked the film. It was, you know,
It seems like there's the rom-com and melodrama seem to be very popular in Bollywood. Is that true? I know there's some action movies, but it seems like there's a lot of what we would consider romantic comedies. Is that true?
uh, yeah, I mean, yes, rom-com is famous. There is a lot of action and drama films being made. It all depends, because there's so many directors making all kinds of genres, you see.
Mhm.
It's not just one set, because there's so many films being made. Literally every week we have so many releases. Every Friday we have 6-8 films releasing. So that's a lot. That's a
Amazing.
lot. Yeah, and they sort of filmmakers are catering to all kinds of genre. There's parallel cinema, there's realistic drama, there's rom-com, there's the, how do you say, the language touch given to Hindi films. There's the marriage specials, because the big fat Indian wedding is so popular, so a lot of people are making films around that subject as well.
How you worked with Ashok Saraf, and who was your co-star in Pravas? He was Prawas, he was wonderful. And because he, to me, one of the things he did that was so amazing was that he had to act like somebody who didn't know how to act very well, like a kind of an amateur actor, if you will. And he did
Yeah.
an amazing job with that. I thought he was really terrific. But you've acted with him before, and also the director, Shashank Uda Purkar, yeah. How do you determine as a star, how do you determine, Padmini, who you want to work with and what stories, and how does that, with so much content coming your way, how do you decide what project is right for you?
So I go by my instinct, really. I am pretty impulsive. It could be the right decision, it could be the wrong decision, but I'm pretty impulsive. And something that just touches me, I just go with it. Then I don't look back. And I surrender myself to the director. Shashank is a new. That's his probably his first film as a director. And Ashok Saraf, he's a legend in Marathi cinema, and he's going to be very, very happy to know that you liked his performance.
Loved it. Loved it.
Yeah. So, you know, I just kind of just let myself go as an actor. So whatever Shashank wanted from me, of course, Ashok Saraf and being a very, very senior actor with Shashank, they would, because he knows, I mean, Ashok Saraf being a Marathi actor, regional actor, he knows the pulse of that audience. So he would get into a bit of a discussion with him that let's go about it this way, that way. But I never got into that because that is not my forte. I mean, Marathi cinema is really not my forte because I've been doing Hindi cinema all my life. But having said that, I think everything came together so brilliantly. And I think Shashank has made a neat, clean film, uh, you know, for the audiences, not just Marathi, but also at large.
Well, I think anybody could relate to the story of Pravas because it was about family, it's about values and universal theme, love. And you were amazing because you played an older woman very, very convincingly, and you're young and beautiful, and you played this very kind of a serene, wise mother, and who was so understanding and supportive and protective of her husband. Yeah. Now, does the dynamic of the family unit in India, is that a lot different than the here? Here in America, we have, my name, the show is Guys Radio, and the name of my book is The Guy's Guide to Love. It's about men. I always say this is the best time to be a man because it's a time where men can be whoever they want to be, yet it's also a time where it's less clear who men really are. And women have made amazing strides and are being recognized here very rapidly. What is your take on what's happening in the Indian culture versus what's happening in America, where women are really making major strides? They're not all the way there yet. I mean, men have kept women down for not decades, centuries and centuries, but it's changing. And it's changing, I think, faster here in America, maybe than in some other markets. What's going on in India in terms of the relationship and the dynamic between men and women and how it's portrayed in film?
You know, I would say that the marriage culture still exists in India so far. And yes, the Indian families are knit together still today. We have a lot of, the younger generation who prefer the nuclear families, being away from their parents and all, and just getting on with their life and setting themselves. But this whole grandmother, grandfather culture still exists. Children are still, we still live in joint families, which kind of really helps the child in their growth. And speaking about the, men, obviously, that it's the same in India as well. But women are, yes, taking great strides in India too. When I started working, I mean, when I was 7 years old, until I don't know how many years, I just on our sets there was just a costume designer who was a female and my hairdresser. That's it. There was no other female, no other girl, woman working behind the scenes, not in the direction department, not in the cinematography department, nowhere, nowhere, nowhere. And today when I see the girls, it, I get so excited because suddenly there's an influx of all these young girls, who are kind of coming into the film industry and are making it big. When I was working, we were literally 5 or 6 actresses. So it was taboo back then to get into films. Now it's 500. There is so much competition that, I mean, I say, thank God I'm not in this era. Thank God I'm not in this time and age, because the social media is so big and there's so much of exposure. There's so much of pressure on today's, I would say girls actresses, because I have been one and I've been there, done that, seen that. And I see today because my niece, Shraddha Kapoor, she's probably the #1 star in India. She is, I mean, I think she has such a massive following on Instagram. So it's again pressure, you know, you're being seen, looked at, and followed, and so much. This paparazzi, even now, it's huge in India. You're being followed. So
how about behind the
that,
scenes? How about from a director standpoint and production? Are there women in decision making positions now, much more than there were in the past? Because here in America, there's a lot of women directors who are doing incredible work and winning awards.
oh my God, there are many Indian directors,
Right.
female directors. There are producers. I mean, I just did a film recently where the lady on the chair is very much calling the shots. We have heads of these OTT shows who are women. It's incredible, and it's really the way they're like. And in India, you see it's so demanding for Indian women because you are made to sit at home, look after the house, look after the children, cook, clean, look after the husband, the in-laws, everything. Doing all that, Indian women are working as well, so they are able to strike a great balance.
Oh,
So
that's
it's because
fantastic.
to these Indian women, yeah, they really.
For Americans, and again, my special guest is Padmini Kolhapure on Guys Radio. Most Americans, as we discussed, don't know too much about India. And there's the North, there's the South. People know things like, oh, they eat meat in the North and they don't eat, they're vegetarian in the South. But they don't realize how many states there are. As somebody from India, can you, when you meet somebody, can you say, oh, I know this person is from Mumbai or this person is from this area? What are some of the differences that people who aren't from India should know about to at least be able to navigate the culture a little bit?
That's good. That's a tough one. You cannot. I mean, unless you see someone from Far East, because they have eyes like this. So you can kind of
Mm,
obviously
okay.
make out that this person is from Far East. But someone from Mumbai, from New Delhi, from North, I mean, unless someone's from Kashmir, you can sort of, because the way they look, it's you can definitely, but I think we can make out, not people from abroad. I mean, you cannot make out like, okay, or you see some person, you say, okay, this one is from Kashmir, or this one is from North India. But yes, we can make out who's from Kashmir or South India or Northern India, their accent,
Mhm.
especially. Accent changes. We have every 200 miles, there's a different dialect in all those languages, you know.
And
So, I mean, even I come from Maharashtra, but when you go to a place called Pune, the dialect is different. When you go to Kolhapur, that dialect is different. So it's pretty complicated for someone coming from abroad.
now,
You can.
when you're here in the States, can you tell, because we have 50 states, and for instance, I'm from New Jersey, New York area, I'm out in California, and the other day somebody said, oh, that's an interesting accent. Where are you from? And I was like, well, I don't have an accent, but I'm sure I do to other people's ears. And if I hear somebody and they're from Alabama, I know that they're from what we call the Deep South. As a quote unquote foreigner, when you meet different Americans, do you have an idea as to where they might be from and what parts of the country? And
Not
do you make those
exactly,
differentiations?
not exactly which state they come from, but because we have traveled so extensively, people like us, we can differentiate. Like, I mean, you can make out a UK accent, a US accent, and when you come to the US, a Canadian accent, but that's for people like us who have traveled so much, met all kinds of people, but not for someone who's maybe traveling for the first time. Let alone, understanding which state. There are a lot of people from India, they can't even understand the accent.
Mm.
You
Do
know,
you,
the American accent or the UK accent, when they start, it's very different from how I mean, like how I'm speaking. It's a typical Indian accent. But, people back there are even more, how do you say, not so, chaste in English speaking.
Mhm. Do you find, Padmini, that there is any type of business now beyond, I guess at the very high level, there is some symmetry in business going on between Bollywood and Hollywood now, but are the Hindi films all filmed in India, or are they stories, global stories that may take place? You could have a story about Iceland or something like that, or is it strictly representing and reflecting the Hindi culture?
Like you said, definitely there are a lot of bridges being built between Hollywood and Bollywood now. I mean, like, we had a platform by the name of Hotstar. Disney took over, so it's now Disney plus
Right.
Hotstar. So there, I mean, people from here are actually seeing the kind of, how do you say, potential in India where filmmaking is concerned and the streaming platforms. So they are kind of gradually, getting into Bollywood. I don't know how successful Bollywood is going to be in making films in Hollywood, but yes, there are avenues opening up, and there are people definitely looking at that aspect for sure.
How does the Bollywood industry then protect itself culturally from not being kind of saturated with the Hollywood values? I notice as an American who loves storytelling and loves film that there's so many dark stories now, and I see big stars starring in some very ultra violent, dark, depressing movies now. A lot of them, and I'm like to the point where I'm noticing. How does your industry, the Bollywood industry, protect itself from not being, protect the culture so it's not infiltrated, if you will, by Hollywood or even storytelling from other areas? How do you protect the culture so it doesn't become like everything's Marvel, but here's the Indian character in Marvel or something like that? How do you find a balance where you get the you get the Bollywood and the Hindi influence out there without it being watered down or becoming a caricature?
A lot of dark films are being made in India as well, in Bollywood, especially on these streaming platforms, because there is no censorship. So you
Mhm.
can go all out. So there are a lot of filmmakers who are, how do you say, in a positive way, taking advantage to showcase or to kind of, literally speak out what they want to on celluloid.
Mhm.
Having said that, there is again the typical Indian cinema, which still thrives on showcasing the culture. So that is never going to die. That's
Good,
never going to die.
good,
And
good.
I think it's pretty much, I mean, Hollywood, or let's say the Western world, is very much intrigued by the Indian culture, and they do
Yes.
try to incorporate it somewhere in a few of their movies. So we are pretty happy seeing that, because there is so much to offer. India has so much to offer, the culture, and Hollywood, the Westerners are very much intrigued by it.
Mm.
So they do somewhere or the other try to incorporate it.
How about for the music business also, where you hear hip hop music everywhere in every language now, and the K-pop is so big in Korea, and it's global and it's popular here in America as well as over in Korea. How and the Indian music and so many different styles, but it's so beautiful. How do you one protect that, and how do you incorporate influences from other areas into the culture? Because it's one world, so there's nothing wrong with incorporating bits and pieces from other types of music into what, the local template, if you will. So what are your thoughts on that?
Definitely. I mean, again, we have the classical music, the typical classical Indian music, which is very much there. Uh, Today's youth is not so inclined towards that, but there is one section of these young kids who want to continue this, want to learn the Indian music, Indian culture, Indian classical forms of music and the instruments. But there is a great influence from the Western world where music is concerned. I mean, my son, he owns a record label called Dhamaka Records. He's just started it, he's just launched it. He's looking at all avenues. I mean, he's looking at Bollywood music, he's looking at Punjabi music. You know, Punjabi music is huge today. It's huge, huge, huge. Even if you see in Canada, in America, I mean, you have so many North Indians, so many Punjabis, and you hear the craze of this Punjabi music. It's unbelievable. So it's there. We have the so-called rap, which was from here. We have Hindi rap, we have Punjabi rap, we have South Indian rap. So there's
Okay.
all kinds of, there's a mix. Definitely there's a mix. There is an influence, but yes, the Indian music and the Indian culture will still remain.
When you're looking at future projects, would you like to work in American movies? And if so, is there any directors that you admire their work and you say, oh, I'd love to work with Scorsese or Spielberg or whoever?
Wow, I would love to work with them. Yes, of course. I mean, I would love to work with them. And, having said that, I have been really fortunate to have worked with the Scorseses or the Spielbergs or the Orson Welles or the Ingmar Bergmans of Indian cinema, you know. So I was really blessed to have worked with these greats, like you mentioned, Raj Kapoor, V Shantaram, B.R. Chopra, and even the South directors, K. Bapu, Mr. Balchandra, huge, huge, huge directors in India. Yes, I would love to work with Scorsese or Spielberg and
Are some of the American movies and but what's happened, another thing that's happened in American movies is the whole what I call the Marvelization of it, where they've taken the superhero thing. You have Star Wars and you have Star Trek, but then you also have all these comic book characters, and every big actor and actress goes for a role there because it's a payday, and they're using good storytelling techniques. How are those movies popular in India, and do you have a kind of a superhero kind of template in Bollywood?
There are such films being made. Now, just recently, there's a film called Brahmastra, which has just come out, and there was a lot of pressure, but the film apparently has opened pretty well and it's doing well. It's all about, the five elements. Now, again, that is so Indian, but it's very popular. I mean, you have a lot of Hollywood films which have worked on the elements, the five elements, fire, water, earth. So that also is now made in India. And there is a lot of, how do you say, research and, facts in India to kind of look into, to incorporate in Indian movies. I mean, a lot of research may have gone into it. I mean, obviously has to go into it, but it's easier for, I think, Indian filmmakers to, get there than from the Western world. But here they do a great job because they go to the bottom of it. And we're getting there. We're getting there. Yes, there are a lot of.
So the American films, like, excuse me, I'm sorry. So like a Captain America or one of these big Hollywood tentpole films, do they play in Mumbai and people go watch them?
Yes, yes. And you'll be surprised. They're dubbed in Hindi, they're dubbed in South Indian languages.
Yeah.
So it's, because we watch films here. Just recently, I watched the Maverick here, and I went to India and it's dubbed in Hindi. So when you see Tom Cruise speaking Hindi, it's pretty funny.
Is there an American star that's popular in India, more popular in India than others than relative than he or she is in America. In other words, like Jerry Lewis and Mickey Rourke, they were very big in France and you know, appreciated for their talents in America, but not quite the same way in terms of the cultural zeitgeist, if you will. How about American stars in India? Are there any that stand out that people say, oh, I've got to see the new whatever movie?
Yes, of course. I mean, the Tom Cruise, the Marvel films, oh my God,
Mhm.
they are phenomenal. I mean, people actually wait for these films to come out and go and watch these Marvel films. And of course, Tom Cruise is huge, and uh, Julia Roberts. I mean, I
Mhm.
think I'm speaking about my favorites. You know, I don't know why.
All right. So what's next for you? You do film, you do music. You gonna do? You have any projects coming up you want to talk about?
Right now, I'm listening to scripts, and I'm very excited. Right now, I'm in LA to accept this great award, Angel Award here. So I'm
Congratulations.
very excited. Thank you. So I think it's for me. I mean, I've won Filmfare awards and all, but now that I'm getting this Angel Award, I think it's just kind of taking me on another platform. I think there's something to really look forward to, and I'm very excited about this. Uh, yeah, so
How
right
about
now it's
music?
just that and music. Yes, I just, like I said, my son's record label. We recreated a song of one of my movies called Prem Rog, which was directed by Mr. Raj Kapoor. We recreated that song and I sang that song, and it's on YouTube. Basically, it's a YouTube channel, and we filmed it as well. So
Oh,
that's
fantastic.
also.
Have you ever done a kind of a English kind of album of American and Western tunes? Because you have a beautiful voice,
Uh,
or considered
I
that?
did I did an album, but with Mr. Bapi Lahiri. He's an Indian, well, he's no more. He's an Indian music director. And we recorded the album in London, and it was called Music Lovers. So we did give a bit of the Western touch, but it
Mhm.
was all in, the lyrics were in Hindi.
Okay. Last question. My special guest, Padmini Kolhapure. Well, the name of the show is Guys Radio. So, as an international perspective from a very famous woman, what do men need to know right now to be the best they can possibly be for the planet Earth?
Oh, good one. So I think what we need to do is, I think we need to save the planet more than anything in every way that we can. And for a man, I think a man is doing pretty well because they are instrumental in, helping their women work at home as well as work outside, do their job out. So I think today's man is incredible. And I think a woman is able to strike that balance purely because of her male counterpart.
Fantastic. So my special guest, Guys Radio, and I should have phrased the question, what can men do for humanity? I didn't want it to be an environmental thing, but you answered it. You helped me out. So thank you so much. And thank you for being on Guys Radio. Padmini Kolhapure, wonderful actress, wonderful person. Thank you. Thank our friend Jesse Kelsey for being here. And I'd love to interview your niece, of course,
Oh,
on the show.
anytime, definitely.
That would be fantastic. So thank you for being on the show and for helping me
Uh,
introduce more of your culture, the Hindi movie making, Bollywood, and all about India and the wonderful culture that it is to America. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me on your show. Thank you, Robert. And good luck to Guy Radio.
Thank you.
Thank
If
you.
you enjoy the content and guests I bring you each and every week to Guys Radio and TV, please support us by subscribing to our channels. Thank you.